adequate responses, showing both very good aggression as well as being good on the defensive side. That Frost game was, really solid the way he counterattacked and just killed his opponent. But here we are now. We have in the bottom left corner of the map, we are on Yonsu once again. It is from Team Alien Invasion. It is CPU. And in the top right, his Zerg opponent, the purple player. He's from Team Esports Club Visualize. He is winner.
So, CPU went into the winner's game to face off against Grubby in a PvP, where he lost 2-1 to be here in the decider. Winter, unfortunately, lost his first round game. Ended up in the loser's game up against TT, where, of course, TT was victorious, and so... Winter was just victorious, and advances through to the decider. Whoever wins this advances forward. They get a better seeding in the main tournament at, of course, Epicon. And yeah, this is going to be very, very important for both these two players.
Yep. Actually, very early drone scout, it seems. I guess Winner is, he doesn't want to get surprised by something like proxy gates. Means he holds CPU in pretty decent, if not high regard, and really anticipates something like a G. And he's just going to scout just to be sure that his opponent is not preparing anything nasty in the early game.
Well, it's a good map to proxy on. It's a short rush distance, tons of places to hide stuff. What's really interesting is the Winter's actually using his first Overlords to check for proxies as opposed to just rushing across. And that's why this early drone scout is actually really important. Ooh. Okay. CPU did this... Winter did this up against Grubby, didn't he?
He did indeed. And actually CPU sees this relatively early, so he can start getting an early Zealot out quite early if he wants to deal with this. I like the idea of still walling off, but it's still not a very easy thing to deal with, and it can throw off even the best players, because on ladder this is still not a very common strategy.
It's a big investment. 300 minerals early on in this hatchery heavily delays your natural as a Zerg. But it's annoying. Zealot being chrono boosted. And probably what you've got to be most concerned about is a queen coming out. And the reason for that is if a creep tomb is placed in your natural, it delays that base so long.
Oh yeah, it does indeed. And once again we have the probes here being pulled by the Protoss. I think he'll be in good shape to take this out. He doesn't have to pull as many probes as Grubby did, who pulled 5. I think CPU is dealing with this quite adequately. And I wonder what his follow-up will be, because Grubby did a very effective all-in off of 2 base. And if I were CPU, I'd probably do the same.
So, no... Again, we're getting that drone come through. Not getting the queen, which is... obviously fine, but...
Yeah, he can't get it out in time, so there's really no point. Getting the drone in for a good scouting is quite nice though, but there really isn't any tech which gives away what CPU wants to do quite yet.
CPU adding in his second gas now. He did go for the 2 Zealots and the Stalker. Unfortunately, this Broodling's going to take a little bit of shields off, but luckily no health damage. And the Stalker just ready to deal with the drone that's busy trying to get some scouting information.
Yep. Unfortunately, he cannot join his Zealot brethren yet in the counterattack, because he could do quite a bit of damage, but there's once again a Spine on the way, which should be just in time, as well as a Queen, of course, and a couple of Lings, so very similar scenario to what we saw in the previous game against Grubby here by Winter. The differences though are quite noticeable. Like, I think this Nexus for CPU is earlier than Grubby's, but his counterattack will do very much nothing.
Yeah, there's the Queen out, there's a good number of Lings, and the Spine. There's not really anything to do there, but CPU adding in the Twilight Council. I'm feeling DTs.
I'm not sure why not.
I think the reason DTs would be good is because Winter, if he's gone for this proxy hatch, delays his own natural, which means that if he wants to keep up economically, he has to cut gases. There's no other way you can do that, especially with the queens that have been seen. But Blink's going to be on the cards. Blink's also a really good choice.
Wow, he's actually going to get a scout off and see the Blink. At least he should. Yeah, let's check his vision just to make sure.
Does.
He does. Even though CPU could have seen this, potentially could have seen this overlord coming quite a bit earlier. It's a very common spot put an Overlord there on the top right. But unfortunately, he did not put the Stalker in a decent position there. And yeah, it's once again 2-base Zerg, and the question is he going to go for a very quick lair once again? Still no additional gas is taken in the main, so I don't think we'll see the Swarm hosts. Maybe later.
A lot of drones coming through, and that's because Winter knows that he's safe to drone at the moment. Blink takes, obviously, over 3 minutes actually in game to build before Chrono Boost. So, not too much done. And actually, this is a misread right now by Winter. He's adding in Spore Crawlers. He assumes DTs.
I guess the offset of gaining 2 Spore Crawlers to the risk of losing to DTs is kind of worth it. I mean, even later in the game, they can still serve their purpose. So I wouldn't really call it out necessarily as a bad move, but more of being overly safe.
Second Overlord trying to scout through just to confirm whether it's there or not. Won't get to see the additional gateways though.
So many gateways. This is definitely going to be 2-base Blink, no doubt about it. 7 gates. Almost classic.
Going to be very interesting to see how Winter's going to respond to this. He's getting the 1-1 melee upgrades, he's getting speed, and he's adding in a few more spines. But those spines aren't going to be too helpful because the Blink Stalkers can just avoid them.
Yeah.
So it's going to come to whether the Zerglings can get the wraparound, but with so many sentries there, the force field should be able to zone them out.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, and actually this moves out kind of gets spotted, even though having that many sentries here can actually mean he can just take a third. This doesn't have to be a 2-base all-in, by any means. Nice force field there, catching those links actually. Yeah, he doesn't have to all-in at this point. I mean, there is a lair on the way for Winter now, but he could just take a third and macro behind this, but his tech path has been completely off, and yeah, the warpins at the front really tell the whole story.
So, with all of this, CPU just needs to make sure that he does some damage here. This push across is a big investment, he doesn't have a third coming, but Winter is getting so much time to get up a solid defense. Look at how many spine crawlers are coming down.
Yep, you're right. This natural is going to be quite difficult to break. The fun thing here for CPU though is that, he's going to spot, wait, there's no third whatsoever, why am I even attacking? Now there's a counterattack, and Winter is actually massively supply blocked, down 60 supply to 90. I do feel that, yeah, he recalls because he doesn't have to attack, but if he does, CPU is just in such a good spot, you know? There's 6 Overlords being added on, and he has so many spines, but spines only really help you stay alive, and they have 0 offensive capabilities. So I really feel that just sitting back and macroing would not be a bad choice at all here for CPU.
He needs to get a third. That's quite essential now if he wants to take it long term. Winter is also adding in the infestation pit. Swarm host would be a fantastic decision now because there's no AoE. The robotics facility, only 2/3, 3/4 done now, and that is far too far away in order to get out a sizable number of Colossi quickly, if a decent number of Swarm hosts get out. But getting those Swarm hosts on only 2 bases worth of economy is going to be very challenging for Winter.
Yep, and he's just standing there on creep, not really giving a care in the world. And well, there's actually almost nothing here except spine crawlers. And with Blink, this seems to be an engagement that can almost only go one way.
CPU pushing in, getting a lot of damage. All of really Winter's hopes and dreams lie with those Swarm hosts getting out in time. There's just so many spines with the queens there that this army is forced back, but more units coming through. The rocks to the left are probably going to be the best chance of CPU breaking in easily. But Mauling's out now, a decent number of Swarm hosts, and I don't see Winter losing to this push.
Yeah, I agree. Except, oh my god, that wraparound, that Blink was a huge mistake. Takes a lot of losses here on these Stalkers and these sentries, and suddenly Winter is in a really good spot.
Winter's still on 2 bases though, so it's not an ideal position. But with the Swarm hosts, he can actually afford to be on 2 bases. Doesn't have to produce slots, obviously locusts come out free. Getting in a good position to make sure that...
Don't do it, don't do it.
Don't blink up, you will die.
Yeah. That would be a bad decision.
There's also no observer out, so there's no way to kill these Swarm hosts.
Is there any NTR? Okay, there are still queens. So, I was actually expecting CPU to go and hallucinate a bunch of immortals, so he can tank the shots from the spine crawlers, but yeah, he didn't do that. And he's now happily taking a third and teching up heavily, you know, getting Robo, double Robo, in fact, as well as Robotics Bay for Colossi. If you can deny the third at some point, that would be just so good. And speaking of denying a third, got a nice rep around here.
Winter gets the complete surround. There's no units in position. With this many Lings, with 1-1, a cancel's going to have to be used. But it isn't.
Just cancel, actually. Oh, he was too late on the force fields, and that's actually quite a blunder. Swarmos have actually taken position in the middle of the map, and the rally isn't all that good, but still, this is actually quite difficult to do for CPU. It seems almost that the best defense in this particular case will be a good offense.
Oh no, the Lings have made it into the main!
God.
This is disastrous now. So many probes are gonna die. The natural get cleared out, but the main base, just a handful of speedlings, gonna pick off a good number of workers.
Yeah, CPU working in a bunch of Stalkers defensively. Not in a position he wants to at all. The last proxy panel on the map, actually in the top left, gets cleared out as well. And now the unstoppable march from the Swarmos towards the third starts. Has the upgrade for the Swarmos actually finished? Yes, it has. So.
Yep. So third base now coming out for Winter as well. This is an insanely late third base, but with the Swarm hosts, Winter's actually got a sizable bank because he can just keep sending these 3 units in, and until there's probably 4, maybe even 6 Colossi, it's a full-time job managing these Locusts.
Locusts moving even further forward. I feel that there's 0 defense around them. There's an observer, that's Colossi. They are so flankable. I feel this is just a disaster waiting to happen for Winter, but he's actually upgraded all the way to +2/+2 melee at this point, and he's doing quite a bit of damage. But these Blink Stalkers, if they can just get on top of these Swarm hosts, it's going to be a disaster.
It's really smart though by Winter spreading these swarm hosts out, and also going in with just a handful to the natural. He's already taken out 1 gateway, gonna get another one, really starting to hurt CPU's production, forcing CPU to pull back, which then means the rocks can get worked through. The Hive nearly done as well. That's going to be for Vipers and probably Ultralisks, considering we've got the 2-2 there. And it's a very interesting but very effective composition coming out from Winter, who runs in with more Lings.
So, for some reason my game seems to have crashed, but I can still click on the minimap and hear relevant things going on. So I'm not sure if we need to abort the cast at this point and just rewind the replay. Because I probably need to restart StarCraft for this to work.
Well, for this moment in the game, actually, we're seeing things get pretty rough, actually, for CPU. He's about to lose his Dark Shrine, just manages to save with a big Zealot Warp in. The Colossus count, pretty damn high, up at 4. And, well, this is looking actually alright for CPU. He's lost a couple of workers at 20, but he's still up at 52 to 67. Unfortunately, the Swarm hosts are still in position and are not as sizable in number as actually Winter would like. He's only got 6 Swarm hosts there. Only went to 9 in total. So this is a little bit annoying for Winter now, because he invested so much in this working. However, 7 Ultralisks just starting production, 3/3 upgrades coming through, and chitinous plating. He is going for a big endgame push. No 4th base yet, and no 4th base yet causes a lot of problems.
So how do you think CPU's composition is going to stack up against that? Because it seems he still wants to go for a bunch of Colossi.
Well, he's got 4 Colossi out. He's not really getting any response to these Ultras. There's a couple of Stalkers, but there's only 17 Stalkers, and they're going to be trying to fend off 10 Ultralisks. Out they pop. There's no Immortals, and these Ultras are actually going to wrap all the way around. There's a good number of Archons there which are going to help, but these Colossi are duking it out. Are they going to be enough just to out-damage these Ultralisks? Good blink back, good micro coming out from the Colossi, and they're stopping the majority of these Ultras from getting into distance. Only 4 on the field, 5 more on the way, and Winter is pumping all of his money into trying to get out enough Ultras here.
Once again, the composition is really the crucial key here. You know, does he have the Immortal count up in time, which he needs to fend off all these Ultras, as well as the AoE?
He doesn't even need them, to be honest, because Winter, he's just getting crushed at his third. There's so many units in position right now for CPU, and so many Colossi. 6 Colossus, and there's the GG. Winter loses game number 1, and CPU advances forward. Or advances into the next round with a 1-game lead.
Alright, well that's a good signal for me to restart StarCraft.
So, basically, that game, the end, all came down to really just the amount of stuff that CPU had. Winter delayed his third base hugely to get out some swarm hosts, but there was just never enough, unfortunately, for him to be able to easily do that. Game number 2 of this best of 3 in the decider game coming up in a few moments. Going to go to a short ad break. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back, everyone. This is the Dutch StarCraft League. I'm Mados, Group H. Joining me is Weeman. We're getting into game number 2 of the decider match. It's CPU up against Winter, and Frost is going to be the map.
It is indeed, and since we just had an advert break, I just want to thank you and remind you guys that Cooling Master Storm is our main sponsor here, and that thanks to them we can have the Dutch StarCraft League and we can have our awesome finals event at Epicon at the start of July in Den Bosch, and I really recommend you guys to show up and attend our finals because it's going to be kick-ass.
Last year was awesome.
Last year was really fun and really a highlight for Dutch esports, if not one of the best events we've had to date. So if any of you have ever been there, make sure you show up again.
Well, we're into game number 2 now of this best of 3. Let's jump in.
Indeed. Here in the top right of Frost, we have the yellow Protoss from Team Alien Invasion. He is CPU. And his Zerg opponent down 1 game in this last game of the entire evening. Well, in this last series of the entire evening, he is Winter.
So between these two, they have had some very intense matches. And that last one was no different. CPU though managing to hold off the relentless swarm of the swarm hosts. And just had too much area, and despite Winter going for an awesome switch into Ultralisks, just didn't have enough stuff. And that's what it came down to. Even though CPU's composition wasn't ideal against Ultras, he just had more things, and things win games.
Yep, it's like one of those tips you see at the start during the score screen, I mean during the loading screen, that usually the bigger army wins. Well, I'm sure Blizzard had a moment of clarity when they wrote that sentence because it rang true ever so ever.
It's right. It's like every time you see those videos of someone like going from bronze to diamond with nothing but queens. If you've got good mechanics, you've got more stuff, and your stuff can't be hard countered by anything, you win.
I'm having another... oh no, wait. Oh, did he miss that? No, okay, he's gonna cannon rush here.
He is gonna cannon rush. The Forge is coming down.
Yeah, it is, but that's just a very odd position. And oh my god, is this drone gonna see...
Oh, he sees.
Yeah, he sees it.
That is one lucky drone.
Yep, and the cannon rush will fail. Well, actually, it's better to not have it start in the first place, because now CPU can just build a Nexus, which is very doable. It's actually quite a standard opening at this point.
Yeah, Forge first into a Nexus was probably the most common Protoss opening against Zerg for a huge amount of time. Pretty much all the end of Wings of Liberty. Forge first into Nexus, can still actually put down the pylons to threaten, to be annoying.
Yeah, he can be really annoying.
CPU can actually... Oh, he can't now. He was attempting to get the complete wall off with those pylons, but not going to be able to do so. Winter, though, not using these 2 drones to do anything.
Yeah, lots of idle drones here, and he actually gets a bit of a wall off, and then now he has space for a cannon, and this somewhat reactive cannon rush might be a bit more successful than you would expect. 2 spines being built, which is not something you ideally want to have happen, and actually this probe gets away, but
this probe is a hero.
It is a total hero, a total badass. Now actually fighting one of the drones. Bro, do you even live? And this one cannon, finally it's gonna get surrounded, and I think Winter will be in a decent spot.
Winter's still lost a lot of resources though, during this. Admittedly, CPU has lost more. But lost mining time. No drones go down yet, pulling them back. The spine's up. This will now get shut down, so it gives us a nice double cancel. I'm sure that spine had finished, but
yeah, it didn't.
Right on the second there. So 700 minerals cost there for CPU to do that. Actually, a bit more than that. 900 resources to do that.
Yeah,
whereas
there's still 2 pylons.
Winter only lost 200 resources.
Yeah, he really didn't have to do that, but he took a gamble, and now he's pretty much behind on economy. Of course, the delayed mining time does add up, but it can't be that much.
The one thing that you can hope for is that the Zerg player doesn't chuck down the spines. If the spines weren't there, that cannon rush would have killed the natural, almost certainly. So the spines are irritating. Zergling's now counter-attacking, a complete wall-off being forced since the cannon wasn't quite done, but that pylon will get cancelled, and the Lings won't be able to make any progress.
Yep. So the wall-off has finished, of course, for CPU, tied safely behind a cannon and nice force and gateways. Final wall-off, very standard. What's interesting though is that Winter hasn't made any effort to take these pylons down, because if he had done so early on, he would have supply blocked his opponent, but then again, also more lost mining time, so it's a bit of a questionable decision if you go and do that.
Ling's coming over, see the attempt to cannon the third, so that pylon gets cancelled. Probe in the pylon, cancelling obviously is about 75 minerals. Again, the complete wall off required to stop these Lings, but...
Oh wow. He does cost him a bit of minerals, but the probe lives. Winter is so on point here though. Like, he hasn't been cannon rushed successfully once. He denied Grubby's cannon rush. Now this one is completely stopped in his tracks as well, so I really have to give it to him for that sake.
Do you know what that proves, without a question of the doubt? Is that Winter plays a lot of ladder.
Yeah.
Any laddering Zerg knows that 50% of your games v Protoss, you're gonna get cannon rushed.
Okay, well, I don't know, but it seems plausible. I really don't know.
What's the Terran equivalent to that? Like,
I never get cannon rushed. Like maybe 1 in 100 games. Proxy
what do you get
2
as
gate,
Terran? Like
same
proxy.
rate. You get proxy 2 gated, and it's very rarely a cannon rush.
See, as a Zerg player, like, we get cheesed so much. Proxy 2 Raxes are quite common, but cannon rushes all the time.
You know, want to know how often I CC first? It's like in 1/3 of my games, and it almost never gets punished. I can't explain it, really. It's magic.
Never play random. If you play random, everyone cheeses you.
Yeah, because usually when you play against random, you get cheesed.
Yeah. So, we do now have CPU just trying to move forward. He's got his additional gateways coming through, but they're getting scouted. This is just a big gateway play.
Yep. That's a brilliant scout here by CPU, by Winter, I mean. Once again being on point with the scouting, and his reaction is to start pumping roaches and get roach speed. And I think that's the correct decision.
He has to just get out a lot of stuff though. That's what it comes down to now. Winter cannot produce anything but units for the foreseeable future.
Yep. Oh, I like the Lings once again on the map going for another counterattack. There's nothing in the wall off. If he would have gone for a run by into the natural, he would have done a lot of damage.
There's just so many units here. He's got to try and stop proxy pylons, but look how many stalkers there are. This is also buying time. Obviously, while these Lings are dying, it's giving production a chance. One lone roach trying to be a hero.
This is so scary for Winter. What's even worse for him, perhaps, is that he has 0 creep spread. Like, there's literally nothing. Maybe he should just forfeit his third at this point and try to just fight head on. But still, the Stalkers with +1 against the Roaches. Decent time warp here. The attack, the timing is just so good here by CPU. And the army for Winter just isn't there yet.
The Roaches being split apart, the Zealots going up against drones, the Stalkers up against just a small group of Roaches doing really nice. A Queen will fall. The Mothership Core is going to go down.
Oh, the Queen lives though, but the question is for how long. Zealots now tanking up against the Roaches while the Stalkers are the ones doing all of the damage here. Supplies actually still ahead of Winter because, well, Roaches take up a lot of supplies and he has a ton of drones. But I really wonder how he can hold this at this point.
Nice pick down of that Overlord. Roaches, of course, on both sides trying to come through, but this is what we saw in Winter up against TT in that first game. That trickle of units that are never able to make that critical mass where they can actually stop things.
Yeah, it's just... We should maybe try to hold the ramp and try to hold high ground, but there's just so much pro route here at this point. +1 attack is about to finish up for the Zerg, but not in time. And these Overlords are now free pickings, and that's not something you have when you're trying to make a lot of Roaches.
More and more Stalkers coming through, seeing that it's only Roaches there, but a handful of Zealots as well, just in case there's a switch. But there's the GG. Good luck. And CPU advances 2-0 after Winter to join Grubby in the next stage.